From champions to another. Giannis Antetokounmpo made his preseason debut last night in Chicago. Giannis and Miles Turner out there. Here's Gary Trent with the drive. Giannis there for the putback. Bucks up 4.
I want to box him out.
You think? Here's Giannis again on the drive.
Wow.
Gets the and 1. Milwaukee up 6.
He really is focused on getting to the basket now. He doesn't really settle it ever.
Here's the spin move and this flush there for Giannis. 10.7 boards at the half.
He was just out of position. By the way, happy birthday to Modest Pizzelis, 21 today.
Oh.
Yeah, well, that was not the present he wanted there on that drive. That's for sure.
Rising talent, though.
Third quarter, Milwaukee now up 3. Kevin Porter Jr. finds Miles Turner. 3 ball.
Got to get used to that.
They need that to happen about 150 times this year.
Bucks up 4. Turner again for 3.
160.
19 points, 5 of 8 from 3.
Looks
Bucks
slim, don't he?
win 127 to 121. And speaking of the Bucks, we have a developing story. We welcome in our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what can you tell us about what's going on in Milwaukee?
George, the youngest Antetokounmpo brother, Alex, is signing a 2-way NBA contract with the Bucks. And so remember, in late August, Thanasis signed a guaranteed 1-year minimum deal with the Bucks. Now, 1.5 months later here, Alex Antetokounmpo joins Giannis and Thanasis on the Milwaukee Bucks. And this is a deal I'm told has been in the works for weeks now. Alex has been a part of the Bucks system going back years. He's also been a part of the Raptors G League system. It is unusual, but this is unprecedented. It now gives 3 brothers on one team at the same time. That's the first time that's ever happened in NBA history.
All right, so I guess the question now is, what does that mean in terms of Giannis's future there?
George, the Bucks are clearly doing everything they can to make Giannis feel as comfortable as possible and as accommodated as possible. This is clearly a move that they're doing, leaving no stone unturned in that regard by signing Alex. But from Giannis's point of view, I'm told that these moves are isolated from him and his decisions, and my understanding is he will make his ultimate decision on his future, whatever that may be, as he has 1 year left on his contract after this season, and that will be based on the team's play. And to that end, the first quarter of this NBA season is going to be critical to see just how good or where the Bucks stand in the NBA and in the Eastern Conference this season.
All right, Shams, great stuff as always, man. Thanks for stopping by. There he is, Shams Charania. Now let's bring in our panel here, the host of the Hoop Collective podcast, Brian Windhorst, Hall of Famer Mark Spears with us here. Wendy, we'll start with you. What's your immediate reaction?
Look, when you've waived a guy like Damian Lillard and paid him $100 million not to be on your roster, and then immediately gone out and spend the $100 million on Miles Turner, signing the guy's brother to a 2-way contract is not, it's not relevant. I'm sure Giannis is thrilled. This is a great opportunity for him to play with his brothers. It's probably a moment they've thought about and dreamed about for a long time. But I don't think it's relevant. I don't think it's relevant to what Giannis is looking for. As Shams said, Shams keeps talking about that 25-game mark. The whole league is paying attention to it. And I will say, after Shams' report came out last week that said that the Knicks and the Bucks talked about a Giannis trade in August, as you can imagine, I am told that some teams checked in with the Bucks, like, hey, wait a minute, are you willing to listen? And they were told no. So the Bucks are totally focused to have Giannis, as you would expect, but you also would expect the teams to check in after that became public.
There's a famous line in the movie 5 Heartbeats. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
No.
You got to see it, where a guy said, every night I got to fight to prove my love. And I feel like every night the Bucks got to fight to prove their love to Giannis.
Yeah.
This is an extreme example. This is all respectful, but these true stats. Alex played sparingly for Payak in Greece last year. He played, I think he got a DNP and barely played for a team called Eris in Greece this year. He averaged 5 points in his G League career. So to have him leave his team in Greece, which he was barely even playing, this ain't the NBA. I don't even know what level that team is, and to come to the States and sign a 2-way with the Bucks and cut Bouye in the process. The Bucks are doing everything in their power to prove their love. And when you're a small market team and you're getting a guy like that, and who knows when the next Giannis comes into the door, I don't blame him for.
Yeah, you got to do whatever you got to do. So, Bobby, obviously Shams said that Giannis will be monitoring the situation. The first quarter of the season or whatnot will be a determining factor. How do you see the Bucks faring during that span?
Well, if we take the preseason game last night against Chicago as an example, they're going to be an interesting team to watch just based on what they did with their lineup. They put Kyle Kuzma coming off the bench, and they surrounded, this was Giannis's first preseason game. They had Giannis and Miles Turner, and then they surrounded him with all shooters with A.J. Green and Gary Trent Jr. and Kevin Porter Jr. at the point guard here. It's going to be a team to monitor just because there's so many new faces here, but the proof are going to be with the results. And who this Bucks team is, this is the team that they're going to be with for the next 2 months. Remember, 11 out of the 15 players on this roster cannot be traded to at least December 15th. So they're going to have to figure it out internally what's going to be best moving forward.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how it all unfolds for sure. Now for us to go coast to coast here on NBA Today. Let's start on Friday as Victor Wembanyama had 22 points and 7 rebounds as the Spurs beat the Jazz. But it was also Dylan Harper making his preseason debut. Mark, what did you see out of this new duo?
What I expected. I mean, Dylan Harper is going to be a really, really special player. And, you know, the Spurs have first world problems with Fox, Castle, and this young kid who his dad told me was really, really excited about him going to San Antonio because he said he could focus on basketball and won't have anything else to do.
Yeah, well, that's true. There's no doubt.
Got good barbecue.
Sounded
there,
like an insult to me.
Yeah, great barbecue, actually, in San Antonio. Next up, the favorite for that award, Cooper Flagg, had another successful outing in the second game of his preseason. Flagg dropped 11 points, 4 assists in the game. Bobby, what do you want to see from Cooper when the season tips off in about a week?
Exactly what I've seen in the first couple preseason games. I want to see the ball in his hands. Certainly more 4 assists, as you mentioned in that Saturday game against Charlotte. Goes back to that conversation I had with Jason Kidd. He's gonna put the ball in his hands and he's gonna make things uncomfortable for him.
Yeah, he's looked fantastic for sure. And that's not even anything we've seen on the defensive end where he's been great too. DeAndre Ayton was a force against the Warriors on Sunday, had 14, 8, and 5 with 2 steals and a block. That was all without Luka. Brian, how important is Ayton to this team?
Well, the 5 assists were pretty impressive. They're going to put the ball in his hands and ask him to make some plays. That's definitely a new look for him. Look, guys, he has put up numbers since the moment he stepped onto the floor as a rookie. He will get points and rebounds. What you want from him is what you can't always see in the box score. Loose rebounds that he can get to. He doesn't always get there. Making plays on the defensive end, getting himself in position. That's what you want to see from him this year.
Finally, we have a Joel Embiid sighting on Sunday at the Sixers blue and white scrimmage. Embiid was a full participant in the game, including dunking here. After the game, Nick Nurse said he shot the ball well, he scored well, he orchestrated the offense well. I thought he ran pretty good as well in both directions. All right. So, Brian, how much do you expect from Embiid this season?
Well, this certainly amped it up a little bit because, you know, he had been working out and practicing a little bit, but they've been so cautious. And I get that because they're just so nervous about putting a time frame on anything, not just publicly, because obviously the fans have been through so much, but also with Joel. Like, they don't want to put too much on him. So this was an important – I don't know if I've ever said these words. This was an important step in an open scrimmage. Usually these open scrimmages this team have, they're nothing burgers.
It's public. They put him out there publicly.
They did, and I think he wanted to sort of just dip his toe back in the water. So the next step is Friday. They have their last preseason game. Let's see if he feels confident enough to go out there. Here's the truth. The truth is, last year Embiid was able to do next to nothing in the preseason. He was that knee was acting up. They didn't really know why. It set the stage for him having a miserable and ineffective season. This year, they've protected him, and he's had a positive preseason, even though it hasn't happened in front of the cameras as much. So, I don't know, maybe it's a different story this year, but I'm very cautious about making any assumptions.
You know, 20 years ago, there was a center by the name of Yao Ming who, you know, Brian, you knows this. I thought he was snatching the torch from Shaq. He was incredible inside, outside, rebounding, blocking shots, and then his body failed him. You know, you know the stories of Samson and Walton and, you know, Odin, but Yao Ming was different. There was success there. And that's been my fear about Joel Embiid. I don't want him to be the next Yao Ming where we'll sit there 5, 10 years from now and wonder, like, how good could this guy have been? He was MVP, and he was on the rise to stardom, and his body failed him. So yesterday was a great sign. I hope he's not going in that direction. We know the back-to-back thing, but I definitely don't want him to be the next Yao Ming. I want him to hopefully overcome his injury woes.
Bobby, big if here, but if he's healthy, what does that mean for this Sixers team in the East?
Well, listen, if he's healthy and Paul George is healthy, then we're talking about this team like we did last summer as a team that can contend in the Eastern Conference, a more wide open Eastern Conference than it was a year ago here. But as both Mark and Brian said, I think we have to look at Joel Embiid as day-to-day for the rest of his career, just based on his injury history. But I will say this, based on what happened Thursday night with the Phillies and certainly the Eagles, this was a breath of fresh air if you are a Philadelphia sports fan.
It has been a rough go recently for Philadelphia fans. Although, look, man, the Eagles won a Super Bowl. Let's pump the brakes just a little bit. And the Phillies did okay.
NBA